Boudica, an icon of British resilience and Celtic culture, the most famous and iconic of the Celtic Britons, a feminist icon and a British folk hero. No one can deny that she's a great Briton. In fact, she's considered to be one of the greatest women in all of history, and is ranked the 35th greatest person in all of British history, and the 7th greatest woman in British history. Boudica was born in Roman Britannia, most probably in Iceni territory around 30 AD. She could have lived in the town of Thetford. She used it as her main military base during her militant years. She was a native British woman, but was probably pro-Roman in the beginning, as the Iceni were once allies of Rome. She was the wife of King Pristagicus, and had 2 daughters with him. She would have been of Romano-British culture, where, although not equal, women could occupy positions of power, and was one of the most gender-equal cultures of the time. And she most likely spoke a P-Celtic language like Brythonic, which is most similar today to Welsh. She was not Christianised and held on to her Celtic beliefs. She may have also acted as some sort of religious leader or even a druid. Cassius Dio wrote, "A terrible disaster occurred in Britain. 80,000 of the Romans and of their allies perished, and the island was lost to Rome. Moreover, all this ruin was brought upon the Romans by a woman, a fact which itself caused them the greatest shame. But the person who was chiefly instrumental in rousing the natives and persuading them to fight the Romans, the person who was thought worthy to be their leader and who directed the conduct of the entire war, was Boudica, a Briton woman of the royal family and possessed of greater intelligence than often belongs to women. In stature she was very tall, in appearance most terrifying, in a glance of her eye most fierce, and her voice was harsh. A great mass of the tawniest hair fell to her hips. Around her neck was a golden necklace, and she wore a tunic of diverse colours, over which a thick mantle was fashioned with a brooch. This was her invariable attire. When Pristagicus died, he honoured the treaty, and left half of his land to the Roman Empire, and half of his land to his 2 daughters. Paulinus, however, decided to ignore the peace treaty, and refused to recognise a woman as leader. Paulinus instead insisted that all of the land was now owned by Rome. Romans went into every home and took all the value they could find. Tacitus wrote that the Romans seized Iceni property and plundered them like prizes of war. Men were taken as slaves and young women were raped. Other members of Boudica's family may have also been enslaved. Boudica protested this land grab and in return got a flogging while her daughters were raped. When Boudica attempted to stop the Romans assaulting her daughters, she was beaten and stripped naked in front of her people. Boudica later called for a meeting with other tribal leaders and found that they were also discontented with Rome. Boudica gained much sympathy from the Celtic leaders, who all agreed to put their differences aside for now and unite against Rome. Word spread quickly, and village after village joined her. She now had an army of around 120,000. She and her followers headed towards Caledonium, modern-day Colchester. Boudica was brutal in her revenge. Men, women and children were butchered through hanging, crucifixion, burning and torture without any sympathy. They burnt down everything, including houses, temples and monuments. Upon hearing of the sacking of Caledonium, Paulinus force-marched his forces back into Roman Britannia. Meanwhile, Londinium, now called London, was Boudica's next target. When she got there, Londinium's citizens were slaughtered, and many of the buildings now became rubble. Boudica showed no mercy, and the same fate met Londinium that befell Caledonium. Tacitus states that over 70,000 citizens were butchered. Paulinus had by this time reunited his army and picked a spot to do battle. The spot is not exactly known, however it was somewhere along Watling Street. The Romans had picked a defensive position where they couldn't be flanked. The Britons had much greater numbers and were confident of victory, having 100,000 men compared to the 10,000 Romans. Many civilians accompanied the Britons into battle, including women, children and elderly. They rode in wagons and littered the outskirts of the battle watching. The 2 motivational speeches are also known from this battle. Boudica reportedly said the following: "It is not as a woman descendant from noble ancestry, but as one of the people avenging lost freedom. My scourged body, the outraged chastity of my daughters. Roman lust has gone so far that not our very persons, nor even age or virginity are left unpolluted. But heaven is on the side of the righteous and venturous. A legion which dared to fight has perished. The rest are hiding themselves in their camp or thinking anxiously of flight. They will not sustain even the din or shout of many thousands, much less the charge of our blows. If you weigh well the strength of the armies and the causes of war, you will see that in this battle you must conquer or die. This is a woman's resolve. As for men, they can live or be slaves. The Roman commander Paulinus reportedly said the following: "Ignore the racket made by these savages. There are more women than men in their ranks. They're not soldiers, they're not even properly equipped. We've beaten them before, and when they see our weapons and feel our spirit, they'll crack. Stick together. Throw the javelins and push forward, knock them down with your shields and finish them off with your swords. Forget about plunder. Just win and you'll have everything." After the Britain war dances and the motivational speeches, Boudica rode out with her chariots first and pummeled the Romans with javelins. They dealt much damage but had very little experience in fighting heavy armoured Romans. The Britons rushed the Romans with overwhelming numbers. However, the Romans pushed forward in a wedge formation, cutting through the centre of the Britons. Boudica ordered her chariots to trail behind and support the rear, and attempted to stop her warriors falling back. This worked in regard of stopping the Britons falling back, however the Romans would keep pushing forward, cutting through hundreds. The Britons attempted to fall back, however they were blocked by onlookers and were easily flanked. The Romans showed no mercy in slaughtering the Britons. Boudica, however, managed to slip away. Everything was slain by the Romans, the women, children, and even the Briton animals. This was a devastating defeat for the Britons, and would cement them under Roman rule for centuries. Around 80,000 Britons died, compared to a mere 400 Romans. Boudica managed to escape the battle on a chariot, but it's unknown what fate befell her. Tacitus wrote that she committed suicide by poison, however Cassius Dio stated that she died of an illness. Be sure to check out my other channel, History Sticks, for the complete, longer and comprehensive video.